Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Especially you, Brian.
Great to be here, Mayor. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Callahan. Here. Houston.
Here.
Hannah.
Yeah.
Prusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. We now reach public comment. Do we have anybody that has filled out any cards or has any public comment? Nothing? Okay, moving forward then, we're going to do the at-large council appointment. So we have two individuals that have submitted their applications. We have Ralph Moore and Chad Roth. So if I could get a motion from somebody with regard to the appointment of one of the two of those, and then we'll get a second, we'll have any discussion, and then we can have a vote. And if that particular one does not prevail, then we would have a motion for the other one. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, what's your motion?
Motion to put Ralph Moore in there.
Okay,
I'll second it.
so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with regard to the candidates?
Well, I think Ralph has been at a lot of the latest, since we had the opening coming up, he's been at a lot of activities and a lot of the meetings, so I think that's a good positive trait.
Right. Not only that, but he went back and looked at and listened to us on video, if you can actually hear anything on any of those. So you got to give him credit for that, too.
There you go.
Okay, any further discussion? So this would be a roll call vote then, and the motion is to approve a resolution appointing Ralph Moore to fill the vacant at-large 2 council seat.
Houston.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Prusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Okay, it passes 6-0. Congratulations, Ralph. Do you want to come up, please? Okay.
One for you and one for him.
All right. Yep, right there's good. I'll be right there.
Thank you all. Yes,
So
sir.
you want to raise your right hand for me? I, Ralph Moore, do solemnly swear
I, Ralph Moore, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Iowa.
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all duties of the position of at-large city council member
discharge all duties at-large position of city council member
of the City of Independence as now or hereinafter required by law.
for the City of Independence as here and now after as required by law.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll sign here. If you want to come up and join us.
Turn around and take a picture.
Hey, you better do a photo first.
Here we go.
And you like each other.
So you'll be up there in the corner.
Put me in the corner.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to sit next to Brian.
Welcome,
Good
sir.
luck with that.
Welcome, welcome.
No.
Okay,
We can do this.
okay. All right, moving then to the next item of business, which is the police department station remodel project. Council members, you should have before you a letter of recommendation from Dan Levi at Levi Architecture. recommending that we accept the low bidder of Larson Construction. So then, that's just for the discussion information. Then actually, I will need a motion, and I'll give you the language for the motion.
You gotta consider it first.
Pardon me?
We have to talk about
Okay. All right, so there were 3 bids that we received. As I said, the Larson bid was for both the 2 addendums, a total of $655,970 with completion date in 150 days. The next closest bid was Cardinal, same information, $745,000 in 130 days. And the other bid from Sheets was $815,800 with a completion date of May the 12th of 2023. So those were the bids, and under Iowa law, we're permitted to go to the low bidder and negotiate with them with regard to the value engineering for the project itself, and we can take as much as 10% off of the quote. So we're currently in the process of doing that, and Mr. Levi is meeting with Larson, and we're also looking at the electrical and plumbing and heating, which seems to be the highest number that was on all the bids. So we're looking to see if there's a way that we can use that as a means of reducing somewhat the total amount that we would have to contract for. So I don't need a motion to approve the bid at that point. I just it's here in section B, right?
it. Right, so now you're gonna award it.
Okay, so moving to item B, under the Police Department station remodel. This is kind of a long resolution, so bear with me. The resolution would be to a motion to award the police station remodel project to the low bidder, Larson Construction, and to move forward with a construction services contract. Architect will lead the review with Larson Construction to reduce the project cost by no more than 10% using value engineering with the approval of the police department and the city. Additionally, the mayor, with the guidance from the city's architect and city's attorney, if and as necessary, is authorized to agree to the final terms of the contract between the City of Independence, Iowa and Larson Construction, whereby the city will contract with Larson to complete the project and to execute said contract on behalf of the city council, binding the city to the terms of said contract without prior review or additional approval by the city council beyond the approval and authorization set forth in this resolution. So I need that motion first.
Second.
Okay, what we're trying to do here is have you give absolute trust to me. What we want to do is we want to try to expedite this as much as possible, and rather than having to come back and go through the contract with all of you in 2 weeks, we can get the work started quicker if I can negotiate the contract through the city attorney and through Levi Architecture, and then I'll sign the contract, and then we'll bring the contract in after it's been completed so that the work will already be started so we can move forward with the project itself.
Okay. I do have a question about the contract time. There is a difference in the contract times. So is that going to make a difference in anything, or is that something that can be negotiated also?
The contract time can be negotiated as well. Obviously, we're going to use the 150 days because that's what we have right now, but the reason we're trying to expedite is so that we can reach the June 1 date, which is our target date. We want to have the police department into there by June 1 so that we can be out of the lease, so that we're not paying rent anymore. If they've got a tenant for the property, if we can get the police department out of there, get their new tenant in, it won't cost us any more in rent. So that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so this would be a roll call vote then?
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan. Yes. Houston.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we'll move to item 4, which is the consent agenda. So I need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda, which approves the following. It's the minutes from the December 10, 2022 special meeting. It's the minutes from the December 12, 22 regular meeting. It's the minutes of the January 3rd, 23 Committee of the Whole with the special meeting that followed. It's the Hy-Vee Dollar Fresh Class E Retail Alcohol License Amendment for the ownership updates. The Casey's General Store 2169 Class E Retail Alcohol License Renewal effective January the 30th of 2023 through January 29, 2024, and is the Indy Cafe's Class C Retail Alcohol License application that includes outdoor service effective November 29, 2022 through November 28, 2023. So first, I need that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0.
Brad,
Yes, sir.
that Indy Cafe, did that used to be the R&R?
It did. It did. Next, we move to financials. And I need a motion to approve the claims for payment.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to the bank reconciliation, which is item B. This is for information only. Does anybody have any questions with regard to the bank reconciliation? Hearing none, we'll move on to item C, which is the budgeted and monthly transfers. Again, this is for discussion, and information. Is there anybody that has any questions with regard to the financials for the budgeted and monthly transfers? Hearing none, we've moved to item D, which is the revenues and expenses to date. Again, this is for discussion and information. Does anybody have any questions with regard to the revenues and expenses to date? Okay, hearing none, we will move to the petitions from the public. The first item there is the Catalyst Grant. It's the Gomer application. I'm looking for a motion to approve the city's support for funding of in-kind services for the Catalyst Grant application for Pete and Terry Gomer.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
I'd like to make sure we do part of it with TIF.
Yes, absolutely.
And when our new city manager begins the 25th, I think we can designate an LMI area. And should we?
Designate a TIF area?
Pardon?
It,
They have to have a low moderate income area in order to designate a TIF zone.
no, you don't have to do a LMI area for it. I can reach out with Dorsey and Whitney to set it up.
Yeah, we'll create a TIF district
Or-
there.
But typically, the LMI is what's within the TIF district.
That's low to moderate income.
Right.
I believe that's already in a TIF district.
It is, we just might have to take it out, put it back in for to collect on it, but the LMI is more for housing.
Okay.
I don't know if we can do,
Well, that's why, what made me
That.
think of housing with the apartments.
If
That-
they're apartments versus,
I'll have to check with Dorsey and Whitney as to what we can do for sure to.
because I see what you're saying, if they're apartments versus,
General business.
yeah.
Well, they're talking about adding 3 upper story apartments and/or an Airbnb.
Yeah.
So if it's an Airbnb, then that, I think is what you're saying might
Correct.
change something.
Okay, well, we'll certainly look at that, obviously. Pete and Terry are here. Does anybody have any questions for them? Any other,
Well, does
Good luck.
anybody have questions for Lisa?
or Lisa?
She's at the podium.
We're excited.
Is the grant going to be sufficient to do the project for you folks?
No, the project costs more than that.
I was going to say,
So there, we had to bring in additional funds.
okay.
Every bit helps, right?
It'll help us, it'll be 40 years in neglect.
Or more.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, so this is a roll call vote again?
Moore,
Aye.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
yes,
Passes 7-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then I will just need some type of documentation from the city on this, so I can submit it with the pre-application.
Sounds good to me.
Okay?
You work with us in terms of what you need exactly, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be pretty basic.
You want to stay there for a second, then we'll
Yep.
move to item B, which is the Rural Child Care Market Study. I need a motion to approve the application for a grant for a rural child care market study with a $5,000 match by the city.
Please ignore that timeline. This was a reissued grant that, the actual grant deadline is January 31st, which I don't see any problem.
I would make that motion.
Okay, I've got a motion. I need a second, please. Okay, so discussion on this. Lisa, do you want to explain why we need this study?
Okay, so what this will do is, it will be an opportunity, one, for the community to really focus in on what they need to, what the childcare needs are in the community. And also, it will be definitely a major bonus when hopefully the next grant becomes available for that $250,000 childcare. There's so many of them.
It's 500,000, isn't it?
In the past, it's been 250, but what they've done is they've often given more towards that, depending on the project. But, so that we are, when this first became available, we really weren't in a position to be able to apply for it. Since then, we've done a lot of work with the city. We're ready. I would say we have, Kidsville is doing their pro forma. We have a good committee put together that will be able to help steer this. And the grant, I think, we would be working with, we don't have to write the proposal. As it says, you are required to partner with a third party, and we do have that part. I had shared that with Brad, an initial proposal that was done back in August that will be revamped and be able to be used. So any questions on it?
And Kidsville did pay for the pro forma
They did
already.
pay for their own pro forma.
Right.
So what is this study going to tell us that we don't already know?
Well, it's not a matter of what we don't know. We know that
It actually goes out into the community. It does a community survey, and it will help hopefully verify what pro forma put together, or show them that they need to be looking even further than they did with what they have, what the pro forma shows. So right now, we're thinking we may need up to 120 additional slots. Maybe it's going to say, once we do the survey, we need 150, or instead 100. This will give us that research base that we don't have right now. It'll give us those statistics that we don't have to back up what we want to do.
Tom, working in a 24-hour facility, I know that there's a lot of comments about evenings, weekends, daycare available for people who work those hours.
I know that there's a need,
This will just give us a better idea of exactly what that need is.
well, in order to prove it to somebody else, so
Yes.
that they give us the grant money, which
You
is
can't
what's
just say we
important.
think we need it.
I need things to be spelled out for me, Catherine.
Join the club.
Sometimes we talk to for everybody else that we've all been to these meetings, but not everybody has.
Any further discussion with regard to this? You want me to do a roll call on this?
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Crusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes,
Hannah?
yes,
Moore?
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Lisa, thank you so much for your help.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, next we'll move to item 7, which is the LMI homeowner agency rehab. They're going to seem like they're the same, but they're not the same. So first, I need to start off, I need a motion to approve a homeowner agency repair program project for the address 911 8th Avenue Northeast.
so moved.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. The applicants already had their had income verified and met the criteria that, and the property's getting a new roof. So this would be a roll call vote.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Moore,
Yes.
Pursader.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Okay, so this establishes the program itself for that particular location. The next thing I need is a motion to approve a homeowner agency repair project contract for 911 8th Avenue Northeast.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This is a project where they're having roof work done and also replacement of some plumbing repairs. There are two contractors involved.
No, that's the next one.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. This is for the roof, and the project is $10,000.
Right.
So any further discussion with regard to that project?
Just maybe a brief thing for those who are watching, that this money comes from our TIF.
Right.
Yes, this is the LMI that comes from the developer agreements that they build the housing, and we have to put aside some for low to moderate income projects.
Which is what LMI stands for. Okay, so this would be your roll call vote then, please?
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Moore,
Yes.
Pursader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Okay, passes 7-0. Now the one I wanted to talk about before. This would be item C, which is another homeowner agency repair project and approval. So we'll start with the same way we did on the first one. It's a motion to approve a homeowner agency repair program project. The address here is 808 3rd Street Northeast. So first I need that motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This one here is roof repair and replacement of plumbing. We've got two contractors involved, Johnson Plumbing and Heating and Cooling and Newbold Construction. This has already been income verified, it's met the required criteria through the Iowa Heartland Habitat for Humanity. So any further discussion with regard to the acceptance of this residence for the project or the program itself? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Moore,
Yes.
Pursader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we're going to move to the homeowner agency repair contract. So this is similar to what we did the first time. I need a motion to approve the homeowner agency repair project contract for the same address, 808 3rd Street Northeast.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
This is in the amount of $9,950. If I could get a roll call vote, please.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Moore,
Yes.
Pursader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0. Next, we move to resolutions. The first resolution is a fiscal year 2023 budget amendment number 1. So I need a motion to approve a resolution that amends the fiscal year 2023 budget.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. You have discussion on this?
What are we doing here, basically, Susie?
So this first amendment helps take care of the bills I had to hold in June and pay in July because I didn't have the spending authority last fiscal year. So we're amending for the spending authority for the bills that had to get carried over. Plus, it also amends for some grants and extra expenses. And then in the spring, we'll do another one for the rest of the stuff that I didn't get.
Okay.
So we need a roll call vote on that, please.
Hannah,
yes,
Moore,
Yes.
Pursader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we move to resolution item B, which is to approve the slips, trips, and falls policy. First, I need a motion to approve the resolution that adopts the slips, trips, and falls policy.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Dick Newton, who's our safety person, prepared this particular manual. It was approved by all the department heads already with some changes that were made to it. We need this safety grant. We have a safety grant where we purchased shoe grips for the employees for safety reasons. And we have to have this manual in place in order to qualify for those grants. So that's why this is important that we do. Any other discussion with regard to that?
That was my question.
Do we have to post these pictures anywhere of the slips, trips, and
We'll have that policy at each facility, and then everybody will have to go through training once a year, and then it'll be documented in their folder.
So we don't have to like have areas where people, like safety areas, like cautionary areas, because it looks like a caution.
That's just the picture he picked for the policy.
Yeah, well, these are
I
like,
didn't know
these
if
are
that
like,
was something that had to be posted, like
No.
in areas that were like considered high risk.
these are primarily for the outside people that are working outside. And they're slip-ons that go over your regular shoes, and they've got, depending upon which one they have different grips on the bottom of them. Some of them are more of a, how do we describe that?
Like sandpaper.
Like sandpaper, and
little
other ones have
shrubs,
like,
and then-
almost like little cleats.
Please.
Depending upon what, and we did speak to the department heads about that and their use of those during the most recent storms and stuff, and they worked out real well. They were able to shovel, and they were able to do all kinds of things without the slipping that they normally have, so it looked like it was a good thing for us.
Good.
Okay, so I need to approve this motion here, so we'll have a roll call vote on that, please.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Hannah.
yes,
Okay, passes 7-0. Next, we move to item C in that category, which is to approve the seatbelt restraint policy. I need a motion to approve the resolution that adopts the seatbelt restraint policy.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, this is something that was created by our safety department. When we were looking at the issues for the slip, trips, and falls, we realized that we should also be having our seatbelt policy in effect for the city as well. So this was, again, something that was circulated among the department heads, and the department heads are absolutely thrilled about it, so to speak. Questions or comments with regard to this particular motion?
So I'm assuming it's the highlighted yellow area that was the big change on the policy.
I believe so, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I need a roll call vote on that then.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Moore.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we move to item D, which is the depository annual designation. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I think I'm running out of time here, don't you, Mike?
No.
It's a motion to approve a resolution designating the city depositories for 2023. So I have a motion by Mike and a second by?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion with regard to those? I wouldn't think so, but just in case. So roll call vote on that, please.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
Okay, it passes 7-0. Next, this is the newspaper annual designation. So every year, we designate a particular official newspaper for the city of Independence, and we use this for our different notices and stuff that we have to post. So both the Bulletin Journal and the Winthrop News have both submitted a request for that. So I would need a motion whereby somebody puts the name of a particular one in there to approve a resolution designating that company as the official paper for the city of Independence.
You can also designate both, because they
We
both
have-
are,
I would
so.
I make a motion that we designate both as the official.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for that then. Any further discussion about that? Okay, and this is a roll call vote, please.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Okay, it passes 7-0. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Next, we move to item F, which is the mileage rate annual designation. I need a motion to approve a resolution setting the mileage rate annual designation at 65.5 cents per mile, which is the current amount for by the IRS, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I need a motion by,
moved.
okay, by Jen. Motion and a second. Current rate, by the way, is 62.5 cents, so it's an increase from 62.5 to 65.5. Roll call vote on that, please.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
It passes 7-0. Next, we have a
It only went up that much.
I'm sorry?
I'm surprised it only went up that much.
Yeah, really. Okay, Resolution G is to set a public hearing for a perpetual easement. If you'll recall, this is the Nielsen Trust in the Fifth Avenue with the dock issue. So first, I just need a motion to approve the resolution that sets January the 23rd, 2023, 5 o'clock PM, City Hall Council Chambers for a public hearing on a proposed grant of a perpetual easement.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. The easement agreement itself has been submitted to us. The city attorney's worked on it. We've agreed on the language. The language that we have for this, we've done this as, we looked at this as a couple of different avenues. We looked at it as a sale of property. We looked at it as a lease. We looked at it as an easement. The easement seemed to work the best in terms of that. The concept with the easement itself is that they would pay $500 as a one-time fee for the granting of the easement itself. They'd be responsible for all the maintenance with regard to the property. They would include the city as an additional insured on a policy carrying $100,000 per person, $300,000 aggregate insurance. They also have to register this with DNR. And they're acceptable to, all of those terms are acceptable to the Nielsen Trust. So we're not voting on whether to approve this at this time. All we're voting on is to just approve the resolution setting it for this hearing. So this is, again, a roll call vote.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we move to item H, which is a resolution to provide a notice of hearing for proposed plan specification, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the 12th Street Northeast 2023 Storm Sewer Improvement Project, and to be taking bids thereof. So first, I need a motion to approve a resolution that would set a hearing for February the 13th of 2023, 5 o'clock PM at City Hall, on the proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimates of cost for the 12th Street Northeast 2023 Storm Sewer Improvements Project and the taking of bids thereof.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion with regard to that? We talked about this a little bit on Committee of the Whole. So that's a roll call vote then?
Hannah,
yes,
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we move to item I, which is the engineering services agreement. This is a 2023 Second Street Southwest Bridge and the 8th Avenue Southwest Pedestrian Bridge rehab. I need a motion to approve a resolution that approves the engineering services agreement with Crawford Engineering for the 2023 Second Street Southwest Bridge and 8th Street Avenue Southwest Pedestrian Bridge rehab.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with regard to this? We kind of talked about this the other night, but this is just the services agreement itself so that they can be involved in the handling of the project itself. So roll call vote on that?
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
yes,
Passes 7-0. What's the difference between these two here?
That was a bridge, this is a street rehab.
Okay, got it. Okay, move to item J, which is the engineering services agreement. This is the 2023 street rehabilitation project. Again, we talked about this at the Committee of the Whole meeting on Monday night, but, no, it was on Tuesday night. I need a motion to approve a resolution that approves the engineering services agreement for Crawford Engineering for the 2023 street rehabilitation project. This is the street project with our 5-year plan for the construction of not the construction of, but the repairs and modifications to the streets that are part of the study that they've done with regard to that issue. So this is just for the purposes of approving the engineering agreement itself. So I
So moved.
have a motion and a second. Second, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Need a roll call vote on that, please?
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Moore.
Yes.
So that passes 7-0.
Thanks.
When would be, yeah, when would we be doing the actual approval of the streets plan itself?
It's part of budget and stuff.
Okay.
And when
All
we
right.
get to that actual part of the project.
Okay. Item K is the professional services contract for the North Aircraft Parking Apron. I need a motion to approve a resolution that approves the professional services contract for Bolton and Mink for the North Aircraft Parking Apron. So first, I need the motion.
So moved, so we can discuss it?
Have a second
After
then?
we-
Yeah, I
After we move
need a
it.
motion and second. and you
Do I have a
can
second
discuss.
yet?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Okay, so this is part of the grant for the, part of the,
Brett's coming.
Brett's coming up, he's got he can answer some questions about it.
So this is the agreement with Bolton and Mink to essentially enter into the agreement with them to start work on that North Apron aircraft tie-down area, essentially for the spray planes.
What is this work going to do, Brett?
Say that again.
What is this work going to accomplish?
So they went out and asked, Hanson's office had asked if anyone had any projects out there. So the city submitted to them one of our projects that they had on the long-term plan of things. And it was for the North Apron. So they gave a $1 million grant for that. In selling that, they told them that we were going to do like a self-containment for it. So that's what that grant was for.
The reason for the self-containment deals with when we have the aircraft that are out there on the apron, if there's any type of spill or anything, we're trying to find a way that best accomplishes the remediation of that without having major damage and
So
environmental issues.
Yeah.
So what's the liability if we take care of that versus they bring their own?
So
Well, this,
I don't mean to cut you
Go
off,
ahead.
but in further investigating and looking, that someone had brought that to my attention. So I'd looked into it. So I think it's Part 137 states that spray planes have to carry their own self-containment stuff. They have to bring it with them for loading. So that's where we get into the discussion that there's some people that are concerned with that. The other concern is, once that spill goes in there, who's responsible to take that back out, to pay to have that taken back out? So my question was, if this happens and I have a plane come in and leave, well, they didn't tell me they spilled anything. So that expense is back on the city to take care of that, because I can't define exactly who spilled. And then it's on the DNR and how many inspections and what other paperwork do we have to shuffle out to try and stay in compliance. No different than the fuel farm situation.
okay, just so everybody's clear, we're not voting on the project, and we're not voting on the cost of the project. This is to approve Bolton and Mink's professional services agreement itself, so that they can go out and get the bids for this particular work that's going to, that we have the grant on. So we've got the $1 million grant already. Our share of that is 5% or 10%?
10%.
10%.
Just under 112.
Yeah, 112,000. So the grant itself is $1 million something, so our 10%. And we've already got the city match in an account for this particular purpose, because we knew that this was coming up and we knew that we were going to get this grant. So all you're voting on at this point is just approving the professional services contract so that we can get bids and try and figure out whether this is, what we want to do and who we want to do it. That's what we're talking about right
When
now.
this is done, Brent, will this allow the crop dusters to have more area away from the other users so that it's
Yes, it'll,
Yes.
safer and more business-like atmosphere for them? And if there is a spill, it's obviously going to be one of those crop dusters that does it versus a continuous service person, somebody that has their aircraft there year-round. Would that be?
So for instance, just a resident
Yeah.
aircraft or somebody
Yeah.
utilizing the airport facility.
that would be
Fuel out there as well.
more fuel-related than spill-related. But, I talked to one of the people on the airport board, and he said, really in all his years of doing it, he's been doing it for quite a while, the spills have been minute. There's very, very little that does ever get spilled. He's like, it does happen from time to time, but it's not a large volume.
When it does happen, what has been done in the past?
So
Who's been responsible for it?
to my understanding, the way that the policy reads, and I think the way that the spray planes take that in, is they carry their self-containment, their socks, silt socks, and equipment to be able to mop that stuff up.
They're required to do that.
Yes.
But then what do they do after they collect it? Does it stay at the airport, or do they haul it away? What has been?
That, I can't speak to that. I don't know. I haven't been in that situation. I would hope that it gets put in bags and disposed of the proper way.
Ralph, I don't want to
Does
get too,
anybody
I
here
don't want to get
know
too far
what was
off,
done with it?
I don't want to get too far off the topic here, but this is just to approve the contract.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just curious on
No,
some
no,
of those things.
well, those are definitely things we want to talk about, and those are definitely questions for the engineer. That's his job
Okay.
her job to sort that out for us. But we're just voting on the contract, or the services agreement itself.
But Brad, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I got contacted by a resident who, his opinion is that this is a duplication of effort.
Well, we're not voting to approve anything in terms of the project itself. All,
We haven't got
We'll
there.
still have an
Yeah.
opportunity to look at that, Tom.
right. This is
address
just,
that.
we can't put anything out to bid without having the professional services engineer in place. So all this does is put the engineer in place, and he's been out there on the other project that's just been completed, or is just being completed. So this is the second time that they've been involved in the projects out there for us. So this isn't a situation where we're committing to anything. All we're committing to is that we're going to hire.
The engineer.
We're going to hire them to do the engineering and determine what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done, and then get the bids on it so we can figure out the best way to, but once that we have the bids, then that comes through the airport board, and then it comes to us with their approval. But the airport board has approved the hiring there's approved the entering into the engineering services agreement, so all we're doing is basically ratifying that decision that they've made so that we can move forward with the project itself.
So hopefully the airport board will,
I would strongly encourage you to stop when those things come to the airport board meeting and express those concerns before it gets to this point, so we can all have everyone's point of view on that.
okay.
Brad, with that being said, I so move.
Okay.
Well, I've already got a motion in a second. We just need
Oh,
a
we do
roll
have,
call.
okay.
Okay, so then a roll call vote on that.
Question for Brent.
I'm sorry?
That's right.
I have a question for Brent.
Brett, she's got a question for you. Can you hear okay?
Yep.
Do you feel this is a necessary project?
I don't know how to answer that without being biased, if that makes sense.
I think that's fair.
But keep in mind that we're not committing to the
Right.
project. All we're committing to is looking at the project and making sure whether or not this is something that we want to do or don't want to do once we know how much it's going to cost, even though we've got the grant money to be able to pay for it. Just because we have grant money to pay for something doesn't mean we have to do it.
But if it's felt like it's an unnecessary project, why would we even spend the money for the architect to do it,
Well,
engineer?
the airport board doesn't agree with that as it being an unnecessary project. They believe it's a necessary project, and they voted to approve it and send it forward. So
Okay.
Okay, so roll call vote on the approval of the professional services contract.
Thank you, Brett.
O'Laughlin,
Thank you,
Yes.
Brett.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Prasada.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Brett, you may be called up again, but the next item, L, is the professional services contract to install runway and taxiway edge lighting project. This is a motion to approve a resolution that approves the professional services contract with Bolton and Mink to install runway and taxiway edge lighting project. Again, so first I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this is again, part of what we were involved with the grant money. This is the city match on this is $46,800 if we were to do the project. And we've already got the money in the CIP fund balance for the project account. And so if you want to tell them about, this is the LED lights that we're talking about, right?
Yes, they're down the runway, down the taxiway, we're going to upgrade those as a cost savings to put in the LED lights. It'll save not only having to replace the bulbs, it should be a lot more energy efficient. One of the concerns that did come back is, hey, if we do this, are they going to generate enough heat to keep the snow melted off the top? So in further ado, I reached out to Bolton and Mink and asked them if they had installed them anywhere else, and they had said yes, and a couple other airports. So doesn't sound like to date.
Midwest?
Yeah, to date.
Yeah, in Florida.
that they've had any issues with them not keeping them warm enough for, because, I mean, the concern is that, how many other man hours you're gonna have to go out there and clean the lights off and make sure everybody can see them. So if we put the lighting, or if we put the heaters on them, the concern is then, how much energy savings are we really getting? So we need to look at it from both points. As far as they said, there didn't seem to be any issues with them. As of now.
What is the maximum height that they can be
I,
placed at?
yeah, I
FFA,
forced it, I want to
FAA.
say right around that 12 to 14 inches, somewhere in there.
Okay, and remember, we're only voting on whether to approve the professional services contract. We're not voting on the project again yet. So,
But yeah, if we could get some clarification on that, that'd be great.
sure.
So move.
Okay, so we need a roll call vote on that then, please?
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Prasada,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Brett, thank you now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Okay, we'll move to item M, which is the Highway 150 Sergeant Jim Smith Memorial Highway. Dewey Hupke from Independence School District approached us. This is a project that's going on in multiple cities, West Union, Fayette, Maynard, Owine, Hazelton, Independence, Vinton, and also counties Winnebago, Fayette, Buchanan, and Benton. What they want to do is they want to name a stretch of the Highway 150 from West Union all the way to Vinton, the Sergeant Jim Smith Memorial Highway. This has already been approved by 3 of the different cities so far, and this is we're looking at it now. So the motion is to approve a resolution that supports the naming of the stretch of Highway 150 from West Union to Vinton as the Sergeant Jim Smith Memorial Highway.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion on this.
I think it was a tragedy that he was killed and was of great service for many years, but I'm not sure that this is appropriate. I would say no.
The cost of, by the way, the cost of any signage or anything like that is all come from donated money, so they're not looking to the city for any money at all. They're just looking for the city just to pass a resolution actually designating our section within Independence in his name.
What's your reservation, Mike?
Just, I would reserve that for,
Like major roadway, like
yeah.
Highway 20
Yeah.
or something like that?
Yeah.
Because they
Well,
have bridges
yeah.
that they named after troopers, yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, when we go
This
down,
was, this was where he actually did
Texas.
his.
they have sections of highway and bridges named after troopers all the time.
Isn't today a Law Enforcement Appreciation Day too, so. Dave, thank you for your service.
I don't know, I mean, Sergeant Smith just, he was very, kind of a leader in the community, and he worked in this area, I guess. If it doesn't really cost us much, I don't think it's gonna hurt anything, a way of honoring his service.
Where I previously lived, they have a lot of streets and highways named after fallen officers. And it's just it kind of shows respect to the officers, I personally feel. So I see no problem with it myself.
Any other discussion?
Is it more often at Bridgeville than the whole highway?
It varies from,
Yeah.
it varies.
Varies.
I think the idea here was, rather than having one location, because he was traveling up and down the 150 from this entire region, going all the way from the 380 all the way up, or from, all the way from down at Vinton all the way up, which, that this was more of a, more appropriate to have a roadway named as opposed to a one little section of it. So I think that's the rationale why they're doing it, but I'm not sure exactly why. If there's, I don't know if there's been any discussion about anything other than just the entire roadway, which is what the resolution is that the other people are passing as well. So let's move to a roll call vote on that, please.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Crusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Now we're going to move to other business. First off is the Visu Sewer Maintenance Agreement. I need a motion to approve the sewer maintenance agreement with Visu Sewer.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This is a 3-year contract. It's a sanitary sewer maintenance agreement. Travis is here if anybody has any questions about it, but this is something that we've done in the past. So I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do it, but did I get the motion already?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second. I should need a roll call.
Roll call vote then.
Houston?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Crusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we'll move to the engineer update. Mark is here. Oh, Brian, okay.
Got the dynamic duo here tonight, so.
Yeah.
Good evening. Evening, everybody. All the updates that we had for you tonight actually have action items that are designated to them on the agenda tonight. So thank you, Susie, for getting all those items on a busy agenda, you can see. So Mayor Blakner, with your approval, I think we can move on to item C, unless there are questions, general questions that you have for me.
Okay, that's fine. We'll do that, and we'll
Okay.
call you back if we have anything
Very good.
specific that we need. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks.
Okay, so first is under other business is C, the Highway 50 change order number 4. Again, this is something that we talked about on Tuesday at the Committee of the Whole. I need a motion to approve change order number 4 in the amount of $32,256.27 for the Highway 150 reconstruction project.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there other discussion about this at this point, or any questions for Brian about it? This was the one that dealt with the thickness and the smoothness, if you recall. So that'd be a roll call vote then?
Hannah?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Crusader?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston?
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next is item D, which is the general traffic control quote. I need a motion to approve the General Traffic Controls, Inc. quote for $2,300 to install traffic syncing device to control the timing of the traffic lights at First Street East and 2nd Street Southeast intersection. I need the motion first.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, this is something we talked about on Tuesday night at the Committee of the Whole. Because of the different traffic signals are of different ages, They don't sync as well, so by doing this and spending this $2,300, it'll allow us to not have to have problems with the signals that we, and have to continually be going out and maintaining this or changing that. So I need a roll call vote on that.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
There'll be a lot of people that drive through there a lot, happy with that.
Next, Next, I have a change, item E, which is change order number 1 for the airport AWOS replacement project. This is a motion to approve a change order number 1 in the amount of $1,116 for the airport AOS, which is the weather system at the airport, a replacement project. So I need the motion first.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, this is something that we've talked about in the past. Does anybody have any
For the
questions?
public,
or-
though, when they see these numbers, such as the contract price, 155,709.75, every year the FAA gives, what, 150,000, Suzie?
I believe so.
Right.
150,000, so you can hold the money for 3 years, then you have to spend it. And this is part of that 3-year expenditure. It's not coming out of the city
Budget.
property tax budget.
Yeah.
It's coming out of this.
And this is just the change order. This was an electrical pedestal that had to be changed out, as I recall. So, roll call vote on that, please.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we move to item F, which is change order number 1 for the airport taxiway and apron expansion program. Need a motion to approve change order number 1 in the amount of $8,800 for the airport taxiway apron expansion project. So first, I need the motion and the second, please.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This is the original taxiway and airport expansion. This is different than what we talked about earlier tonight. This is the project that's already been completed or is being completed. And this is just a change order for some additional concrete or gravel or some other things like that that needed to be done. Is that, Brett, am I close?
Yeah, up next to the fuel farm, we put in 3 extra tie downs or 2 extra tie downs. And basically, when they got into it, it was 12 inches instead of 6 inches. So they had to add rock to bring it up, and the panel ended up being a little bigger.
So that was an oversight on their part, or is that just an oversight on not knowing for sure the scope of the project?
And just an oversight on not knowing how thick the concrete was, I suppose, when they cut it. And then the other one was some concrete they had to put over top of some electrical. And that was probably an oversight they didn't realize they had to do either. They have some reservations over the other one, but
Brett, have we completed the airport taxiway and the expansion project, the apron expansion project?
it is done, yeah. So they expanded that to the south, and basically you can't have direct access out to the runway. It has to have an S in it.
Okay.
Council has not approved the contract, or the project being done yet, though, so.
It's
for
not,
clarification.
Which
yeah,
one?
this is the one that
This
has,
one.
Right.
this is the one that has the 2-year contract,
No.
or the 2-year
That's
warranty on it.
maintenance update, but what I'm saying is, whenever the city has a project, council approves the work for the project. We have not done that yet, so we haven't officially said this project is done, so.
I think this is the other one. I think this isn't the North Airport, the North.
Yeah, no, this is a separate project.
Okay.
This is to the south of the airport.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's a roll call vote on the approval of the change order.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we move to item G, which is the first responder status. I need a motion to establish the Independence Fire Department as a first responder.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This is something that we also talked about at the Committee of the Whole.
We've done this before.
This is the purpose of having the fire department be a first responder is when they get to the scene of an accident, or they're called out, and they arrive at the scene first, they cannot render any type of aid at all, even though they've got, medics and they've got EMTs or whatever else they may have, they're not permitted to do anything further. So, the purpose of this status is to allow our fire department, when they're there, render care to our citizens and help them until the ambulance arrives. This is not a situation where we're talking about having the fire department be an ambulance service. This isn't a situation where we're changing anything. We just want to have the status, and the cost of this is relatively minimal. We need a medical doctor that has to be on board. Dr. House has agreed to do so. We have an application that we would have to submit to the state in order to get the status. And then the other thing that we would have to do is if there were some type of supplies that were necessary as a result of the project, of them appearing, that would be a cost that we might have. We're not asking to send anybody to school for EMTs. We're not asking for anything else other than that. This is just a simple status itself as a first responder to help the citizens of our community. So
But isn't the schooling going to be part of it, Brad?
we have Blake, how many do we have right now?
We have 4 EMTs and 1 medic.
Okay, so we've got EMTs already. We're not asking the council to pay for the classes for the EMTs. If they want to take their classes, they're going to take their classes, right?
Chief, I'd like your opinion on this anyway. Yeah. Guys, as we're obligating them,
What's that?
as we're obligating our firefighters and things like that to do this, I'd like to know your thoughts on it.
Right. I know in the past, it's been kind of back and forth, and we were going on every call with the ambulance. This is a lot different, so this will be by request only. And then it kind of frees up that when we're on scene, we're able to use the equipment and training that we've had. Best way I can relate it on the fire side of things is having a hose but no water. You know, we have all the equipment, we have the training, just not allowed to use it. So,
is this will increase the amount of calls they're gonna request from you folks
not necessarily, because like car accidents, we already go on.
automatically?
Automatically, we already go on car accidents. As long as there's airbag deployment, a rollover, anything that would dictate injuries. Anytime there's injuries reported, we respond automatically. Just because leaking fluids, roadway blockage, we help traffic control, entrapment. Sometimes even like on a steep bank, just getting people out of that ditch. It just takes.
Now, is it the certified EMTs only that will be,
No, this will
or
probably.
anybody?
This will be anyone. We have people that are, everyone's trained in bloodborne pathogen, CPR, basic first aid. The state of Iowa gives us a scope of practice, and, none of us can, poke a hole and start an IV, anything you see on TV, basically, we can't do. Right. But anything within our scope of practice we can do, and that's all dictated by the medical director in the state of Iowa, so.
So it wouldn't be working outside of your area that you're certified, so to speak.
Right.
I think it's a good idea.
It's a fantastic
Is
idea.
our ambulance service on board with this?
I haven't had any meetings with the ambulance service. I don't know if Brad can.
We have a meeting coming up, but they don't have any problem with it at all. Actually, they were welcoming it with the last time I talked to them. The most important thing that they'd be concerned about, which we're fully on board with, is once the ambulance service gets to the scene, we turn the patient over to them. And at that point, they can do whatever they need to do with them. This is a first responder. It's a stopgap. It allows us to get there first and protect the people that are there to make, and we have the skills, like Blake said, use the skills. So that's the purpose of this.
I think our community, the people in our community wouldn't want somebody standing there looking at them, waiting for the ambulance to come.
Every second counts with those kind of things.
Exactly, and I think that's what you're talking about, is those extra seconds that might
Yep.
get things started.
Right. And a typical call, if it's a fall and the ambulance has a crew in town, we're not gonna go unless they request us, so It won't be like every call that it was the previous time. The previous time we were going on every call and
There
our
was a
call
mess.
volume. Right, that, and part of that was dictated by the county, part of it by the ambulance, part of it by the fire department, and that's not the case this time, so.
Okay,
Thank you, Chief.
You bet.
What's it do to
Any other
our
questions?
liability?
I'm sorry?
What's it do to our liability?
As far as the city, or,
Yes.
I don't think we'd have any increased liability, just because we have the scope of practice that we have to abide by through the state.
Shouldn't change liability at all.
We'll take a look at the insurance policies to make sure that there's not any issues with it, but I couldn't imagine that there would be. I mean, you know, they're responding to fires and they're at the fire scenes and they're, rescuing people and doing that sort of thing. This is just similar to what they do there. I don't think that there's any increased risk that I can think of.
I would not think there's a liability increase at all.
Yeah.
I would think there'd be a decrease based on the fact that you're actually doing something.
Exactly.
Because you can get sued for not doing something.
Hi.
Oh, well, that's only in California, I'm sorry.
If you do it, I would too.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Okay, so roll call vote on that, please.
Jensen,
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Pursader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
Pregnant pause.
Mike had a hard time with that one.
I'll believe what I see when I see it.
I know.
But
And you're
the
gonna,
thing is, if there's no problems, we won't know.
and hopefully someday you won't be saying to me, I told you so, but I didn't know. I thought I was doing something good. All right, we'll move to item H, which is the Spar Grove Development Agreement Addendum. So first, I need a motion to approve the addendum to the development agreement with Dominic Spargrove.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. So where we are on this is, as you know, we had given him until December to complete the work. This is above Hardick Drug. We were concerned that we actually have a little bit more time with the state in terms of the grant itself. So they've provided us with a very detailed scope of work in terms of what they're going to do by particular dates. And as everybody knows, because we saw it on Facebook, so it must be true, they had all the wood flooring delivered this last week. So they're working on that now. We have a date of the put down on the wood flooring is starting January 9th. They actually started a little earlier than that. They have to complete it by January the 13th. We've got Todd that's going to inspect each one of these things regularly to make sure that they follow each of the things. Like framing starts January 16th and finishes January 27th. We've got the removal of the awnings. We've got the spray foam of the ceiling. We've got drywall and inside painting. We've got outside awnings. We've got skylights being installed, outside doors being installed, finished plumbing and electrical, and ready to rent out by May 1 of 2023. That's the plan. So it's pretty detailed in terms of what we have. We just need you, as the council, to approve the extension that we're giving him on the development agreement itself.
Brad, I'm not a contractor, and I'm not even close, but I think at the committee of the whole, you mentioned that the plan is to have 2 crews, 1 on each end,
That's what he said.
working toward,
Yeah, that's what he told me, although I can tell you, based upon what we know right now as of this morning, they've only got 1 crew going. So if they can get the 1 crew to get it all done, that's great. But if he falters on this, I don't know that the state's going to give another extension. So this could be the end of the road. That's a lot of money to put into this thing.
well, again, not being very knowledgeable about it, but doesn't that seem like there could be some real problems if they work from each end and come to the middle and,
Well, I'm sure it's not going to be exactly the middle. I think they'll cross over on each side as necessary. But I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah, the reason for talking about doing it from both sides to the middle is that there's so much work up there because he's got so many units up there that they have to find a way to get this work done. I suspect that when they say start at the ends and move to the middle, they mean that they've got apartment units on one end and they've got apartments units on the other end, and one crew will work on the apartment units on the one end and the other crew will start on the other end. I mean, and the middle, it just happens to be the dividing wall between the two sets of units. I suspect that that's what they're talking about, more than just, laying flooring and just stopping in the middle, because I don't have to go any further than that. I think that's what they're really talking about.
Okay.
That's a lot of work to get completed by May 1st.
It's a lot of work. There's no question about that.
I mean,
Wish him well. I mean,
And they've had how many extensions?
yeah.
We've given them 2 extensions in the past, but we only got 1 extension from the state ourselves. Remember, we're the ones that apply for the grant, so he's still within the time that the state had given us on the prior extensions. We were just giving him dates that we thought were appropriate to move the project along, knowing that we had additional flexibility in the final dates that we had. Any other discussion on that?
Good luck.
Okay, so that, again, that's a roll call vote then?
Callahan,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes, we want to get it done.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we'll move to reports. Council members first. Catherine, do you want to start?
I do have some information on the visioning committee. We're going to be meeting here, in this area here, for a meeting on Thursday, January 26th at 5 o'clock. And at that time, we'll divide up the lists that we have, and people will then get 5 to 10 people from each of the categories to be part of the visioning, I guess, the whole visioning piece that's going to take place on Saturday, the 18th at MHI. We did reserve the 3rd floor classroom for that. Each group will have a specific time, and I don't have that information with me. Do you have that? We can get that.
On my desk.
We can get that out.
Yeah,
So each group will have a specific time. I think it starts at 9 o'clock and ends at 11:30.
Right around.
Right.
Right around there, right around noon. Groups will have a possible tour of the Days of Yore, if they'd like one, and, which is the MHI Museum.
The whole purpose here, we had the community visioning grant. This is our First Street West corridor and green space that we're looking at. And the grant saves us $100,000 that we were thinking about spending on a study to do this. So what they're doing is they're breaking this into segments of the population within the city so that they can get groups that will talk about particular issues that they're interested in, so that they can develop a plan. So the idea is you have these focus groups that take place, and one focus group may be elderly people, and one might be the students, one might be professionals, one might be whatever other
Local
Sports.
businesses.
yeah
We talked about
sports, local businesses.
Involved in outdoor sports.
And the idea is that all these different focus groups will provide the information, and then the architects will then use that well, first they'll come back to the community visioning steering committee that we have, and then this information would then be moved into some type of a plan that they would actually give for the city. And I think isn't our timeline a year? Isn't that what the timeline is, as I recall? So this is the early on steps of this, and we're trying to create lists of people that we think would be willing to participate in these type of, whatever the word is.
Group
Yeah.
discussions.
Focus groups.
Yeah, focus groups. So,
So we did come up with, we did already meet once, and we came up with a list, quite an extensive list for each of the categories he asked us to come up with. And then from that, we'll go out, individuals within the group will go out and try to recruit people to come to this. And we need, and he said anywhere from 5 to 10 people from each of those categories.
right, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else that you have? Okay.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Mike, you have something?
Just congratulations to the Independence girls wrestling team. I saw them for the first time this last week out at the high school, and they did an outstanding job, and it's so good to see the young ladies have the opportunity.
Oh, and I forgot to say, welcome,
Thank you. Thank you.
after I looked over this way.
Brian, you have anything?
The only thing I had is I did talk with somebody at the very early stages. One of our downtown businesses expressed concerns about, backdoor parking or parking lot. So between the Mexican restaurant or north of the Mexican restaurant or, Independence Napa.
Okay.
Now, in talking about possibly doing some sort of designated parking spots back there for some of the businesses that we have, just to increase some of the parking for them, in that rear parking lot.
I think
I think we can discuss more about that, if we can put that on the next meeting of the whole.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. One of the reasons that's going to be important is because if we start having units up above and we're having certain units that would be for the tenants of those businesses, where we're going to put our customers for our lower level businesses themselves. So, yeah, absolutely, that's something we need to talk about.
And we've already designated the number, but not the location.
That's right.
For Spar Grove to.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hardware Hank.
Well, and Hardware Hank, right. And then, we've got the Gommers that are going to have something similar with their 3 units too, so. You have anything at this point, Ralph, or you?
The only thing I have is I want to thank all of you with your support on placing me in this position, and I highly hope I don't disappoint any of you.
We'll let you know.
I'm sure you will.
Deb, did you have anything?
Just congratulations to Ralph, and that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations to Ralph, and a couple things that, to bring up. I don't think that we're getting the straight story from Waste Management as far as the garbage pickup, because we're in a similar situation as Mike, that it was supposed to be Monday, and Christmas, the day after Christmas, they didn't come till Wednesday, let's just say.
Right.
And so we thought, from what we heard, that it was a holiday thing.
Right. We understand, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Monday, the day after New Year's, they showed up at 8 o'clock. Of course, we didn't have our garbage out.
Yeah, same thing happened in my neighborhood too.
It's a challenge. I know that part of the problem was they had a vehicle that broke down, another part was they had somebody that was out ill, but that doesn't explain the holiday situation. I think,
We can have further discussion on that at the committee of the whole. Report is not
I think we
discussion
need to,
topic.
Waste Management at least has to get their story straight as far as, whether it's a
I'll-
holiday thing, whether it's an
I'll
equipment issue.
put it on the February committee of the whole, so.
The other thing that was brought up to me, how long has it been that the city has not had even odd parking on the streets during snow removal?
Never
I
during my
don't
7
think
years.
we've,
At
Since-
Cedar Falls, I paid a lot of tickets for my kids in Cedar Falls.
I think snow, I don't think we have snow emergency odd or even.
From 1991, when I was here, we never had it.
Never have it.
We moved into the emergency snow removal when, I think that had been about 13, 14 maybe, when they put that plan in place to finally get the cars off the street when we did it, so.
And I know that's I would, maybe that's something to bring up at the committee of the whole, if Brad's here, to ask him if that's even possible. They had a resident ask me about that, if it'd be possible, because where they live, parking is not available off-street.
If they live in a residence that the parking is not available off the street due to not having enough spaces in like an apartment or a duplex per se, then they can come down and apply and get a emergency snow removal parking permit, which allows them to park on the street, and then we take away any parking tickets that are written.
Which, yeah, and they're reluctant to do that.
I mean, it's fairly simple. I mean, it's not, I don't know why they'd be
How
reluctant.
much is the permit?
0. It's free.
Oh, it's for
And it lasts as long as they live at the residence. They just need to notify us of when they change vehicles so that we can do that. They'll still probably get the ticket due to the fact I'm not gonna ask my people to scrape the whole windshield off to look for the permit inside of it.
Yes.
But when that ticket comes in, when we process tickets, then that list is compared, and then we take away the tickets and notify the owner that we took away the ticket.
Okay.
It's not a problem. But encourage them to come, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's a piece of paper they fill out. We gotta come over and check the house, make sure they don't have parking off-street, and if they don't, then they can get the permit.
Okay.
But all in all, it's a good program, because the odd even thing extends out your time that your street crews have to work to clean the streets,
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
and it's a pain.
Yeah.
So, but I think we had like 35, 40 tickets during the last snow emergency that we had.
You know how many permits we have?
I think we got about 12 to 15, if I remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
And I had one where they have a permit, the car was in the shop, they borrowed somebody else's car, and so we worked with them and took that away, but told them they had to notify us in the future on something like that.
Good for you. You're not a bad guy after all.
I have a heart. I don't know where it's at, but when I find it, I'll get back to you, Tommy.
Might be in Chicago.
That's all I got.
Jen, you have something?
I don't have anything.
Okay, a couple things. First off, as everybody knows, we've got the downtown facade work that's been going on. There's two sets of projects that we have, about approximately 7 in each one. On the one that started first, which we call the COVID ones, they are moving forward with the progress. Here's the current timeline, just so you have some information. By February 21st, they will have 304 or 306 windows that'll be arriving for installation. By March the 31st, they expect to have all of the storefronts and all of the windows installed. They will be completing the painting in April, and the construction on those first 7 will be completely finished by May the 5th. I believe it's 7 or 8 facades that we have. They're a little bit farther behind because they started later in time, but the expectation is that by the fall, those will be finished completely as well. And then once we look at that, Susie, close your ears. We are going to consider some of the other ones that didn't get in on the first round, and we're also talking to them about, they can't qualify if they're too close to the river because of the flood issues, but we're hoping to convince the state to allow us to do the upper levels on those, because that wouldn't have anything to do with the flood issues. So I don't know whether we'll be successful or not with that, but that's something we're talking about. There is a DOT Iowa 150 project that they're having a virtual meeting anytime between January the 17th and January the 30th. There's a website, www.iowa.dot.gov/PIM, and you click on the Iowa 150 Planning Study Meeting Number 1. And what they're talking about here is there's a 28-mile corridor from the 380 all the way up to just south of Owine, and they're looking to make decisions in terms of what they're going to do. They think that Independence is a bottleneck for the 150 because they have to come through town where the lights are and everything.
Oh.
And they're looking for yeah, exactly. They're looking for options. Whether it be one-way streets, whether it be something that goes around the Independence. They're looking for options. So if anybody's interested in this, would be a good thing for you to see the planning study in terms of what they're talking about as far as that goes. Okay? Third thing, billboard signs. I can't talk about this in too great a detail because we have the city attorney involved in it. But the 2 signs involved that were built by the Buttermilk and by the Checkered Flag, from our perspective, we're not in compliance with the city ordinances with regard to those projects, and the city attorney is dealing with them with regard to those. We've also had another one that's approached us about adding another billboard here right over by Trendy Tulip on city property, and the Planning and Zoning denied that request for application. What we're trying to ultimately do is we're going to have to revise our billboard ordinances. What we want to do is we want Planning and Zoning to look at what other cities are doing, steal some of their language that works for them, that works for us, and then bring that back to council. But in the meantime, there's too much of this going on. So City Council, Doug Herman, and in our conversation today, we both felt that the best thing for us to do is to repeal all of the billboard ordinances so that we're not giving any permits out for any billboards of any kind until we can get down in writing exactly what ordinances we want as a city. I mean, we've got to make a decision. Do we want our billboards for highways or billboards for our downtown areas? And I'm talking about a billboard. I'm not talking about the signs for the businesses themselves. I'm talking about billboards that are advertising something,
My question.
that are advertising something other than the actual business itself.
Okay.
So we're going to bring this issue up to council as soon as we possibly can about repealing the current ones so that we can have an answer to anybody else that's trying to add a billboard in
When's the
town.
last time we revised our billboard ordinance?
Not in the last 7 years. that's
I looked at these when I was on a committee back 8 years ago, and at that time, we made some changes, but I don't think it was anything significant, and I don't think we realized the seriousness of it at the time that we were looking at it. We had a committee the Citizens Committee that Mayor Davis created to look at the issues, and then we brought those back to council.
To clarify, these are in the zoning ordinance book, not the regular city code of ordinances. So what the Mayor Davis did was the actual city code,
Right, and I don't think,
not the zoning ordinance book.
Planning and zoning.
right, I don't think I looked at
That's-
planning and zoning.
That's
You're right.
separate, so just for clarification.
You're 100% right. Okay, last thing is city manager starts January 25th. So
Nice.
with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Then open it up.
Ralph, don't go anywhere. We need signatures.